One afternoon, Anita called Nathan into her room. She smiled warmly and said, "Nathan, come here, sweetheart. I have something special to show you." In a town called Cato, 7-year-old Nathan lived a seemingly happy life with his father, Mr. Lucas, and his mother, Mrs. Anita. They made everyone believe that they are a perfect family. Nathan loved drawing pictures of superheroes and playing with his toys. But deep down, Nathan's life wasn't as perfect as it seemed. Mrs. Anita worked from home as an online entrepreneur, managing multiple businesses. She spent most of her time in her office, leaving Nathan to entertain himself. His father, Mr. Lucas, was a mechanic who worked long hours. Though Lucas loved his son, his demanding job kept him away from home most of the day. This left Nathan under Anita's care that would soon turn into something dark. One afternoon, Anita called Nathan into her room. She smiled warmly and said, "Nathan, come here, sweetheart. I have something special to show you." Her tone was calm and inviting, and Nathan, trusting his mother completely, obeyed without hesitation. She led him to the sofa and whispered, "This is our little secret, okay? You can't tell anyone, not even your dad." Nathan nodded, confused but obedient. "Okay, Mom," he said, his voice small. At first, Anita's actions seemed harmless, but as time went on her behavior grew more inappropriate. Nathan didn't understand what was happening, but he knew it made him uncomfortable. He started avoiding his mother whenever he could, but being only 7 years old, he couldn't escape her entirely. When Nathan tried to resist, Anita's tone would change. "If you tell anyone," she warned, her voice sharp and threatening, "your dad will leave us. Do you want that to happen? Do you want to break our family apart?" "No, Mom," Nathan whispered, his small body trembling with fear. The threats kept him silent. He was too young to understand the complexity of the situation, but he felt trapped and terrified. The mother he trusted to protect him was the one causing his pain. Nathan's once bright laughter faded into silence. At school, his teachers noticed his withdrawal but dismissed it as shyness. His father was too busy to see the growing sadness in his son's eyes. Nathan was completely alone, carrying a secret too heavy for his small shoulders. Nathan's fear grew with each passing day, but deep down, he hoped his father would notice his pain and save him. One evening, while Lucas was working in the garage, Nathan gathered the courage to approach him. "Dad," Nathan said softly, peeking around the corner. Lucas glanced up from his work and smiled. "Hey, buddy, what's up?" Nathan hesitated. His hands fidgeted, and his voice wavered as he said, "Can I talk to you? It's important." Lucas wiped his hands on a rag and crouched down to Nathan's level. "Of course, Nathan, what's on your mind?" But before Nathan could say anything, Anita appeared in the doorway. Her voice was calm but firm. "Nathan, don't bother your dad with your little stories. He's had a long day." Lucas chuckled lightly, unaware of the tension in Nathan's face. "She's right, buddy. Can it wait until later?" Crushed, Nathan nodded. He watched his father turn back to his tools, his chance to share the truth slipping away. Anita's piercing gaze warned him not to try again. The days turned into weeks, and Nathan's attempts to speak out were always thwarted. Whenever he tried to approach his father, Anita was there, ready to shut him down. "Stop being dramatic," she would say. "You're always looking for attention." At school, Nathan's teacher noticed he had become unusually quiet. Once a lively child who loved sharing his drawings, he now sat in silence during class. Concerned, the teacher called Lucas to discuss Nathan's behavior. "Your son seems different," she said over the phone. "Has anything happened at home?" Lucas was puzzled. "No, nothing I can think of. I'll talk to him," he promised. But when Lucas brought it up at home, Anita quickly dismissed it. "He's just being moody. Kids go through phases," she said, her voice casual. Lucas nodded, trusting her judgment. Nathan's hope dwindled. Every attempt to reach out for help was met with silence or dismissal. He began to believe no one would ever hear him. As weeks passed, Lucas began to notice subtle but troubling changes in Nathan's behavior. His once lively son, who used to greet him with excited stories and drawings, had grown quiet and withdrawn. Nathan no longer played with his toys or asked to go to the park. Instead, he spent most of his time in his room, staring out the window. One evening, as Lucas sat on the couch reviewing some bills, he looked up and saw Nathan sitting at the kitchen table. The boy was poking at his food, his eyes dull and lifeless. Lucas frowned. "Nathan, are you okay? You've barely touched your dinner." Nathan looked up quickly, as though startled. "I'm fine," he said softly, pushing his plate away. Lucas didn't believe him. Later that night, he brought it up with Anita. "Have you noticed anything different about Nathan? He's been so quiet quiet lately. I'm starting to worry. Anita shrugged dismissively. He's just going through a phase, Lucas. You know how kids are. But Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The next day, he decided to take the afternoon off from work to spend more time at home. He hoped that being around more would help him understand what was bothering Nathan. That afternoon, while Anita was in her office, Lucas knocked on Nathan's bedroom door. "Hey, buddy, can I come in?" Nathan hesitated but eventually nodded. Lucas sat on the edge of the bed and smiled gently. "You know you can tell me anything, right? If something's bothering you, I'm here to help." Nathan's eyes filled with tears. He opened his mouth to speak but quickly closed it again. "It's nothing, Dad," he mumbled, looking away. Lucas was about to press further when Anita's voice called from downstairs. "Lucas, I need your help with something." Sighing, Lucas stood up. "We'll talk later, okay?" Nathan nodded, but as the door closed behind his father, he buried his face in his hands. He had been so close to telling the truth, but fear held him back. The next morning, Lucas resolved to come home early again. This time, he hoped to get to the bottom of whatever was troubling his son. The day started like any other. Anita spent the morning in her office while Nathan sat quietly in his room, drawing on scraps of paper. Lucas, meanwhile, left for work, promising to return early. Around midday, Lucas decided to follow through on his plan. He clocked out early and drove home, hoping to surprise Nathan and spend some quality time with him. As he walked through the front door, he noticed an eerie silence in the house. "Nathan, Anita," he called out, but there was no response. Climbing the stairs, Lucas heard muffled voices coming from Nathan's room. Something about the tone of Anita's voice made his stomach churn. Quietly, he approached the door and pushed it open. The sight before him made his blood run cold. Anita was sitting beside Nathan, whispering to him in a tone that was both manipulative and terrifying. Lucas couldn't believe what he was seeing. "Anita," he shouted, his voice shaking with rage. Anita jumped back, her face pale. "Lucas, this isn't what it looks like," she stammered, but the guilt in her eyes betrayed her. Lucas didn't wait for an explanation. He scooped Nathan into his arms as the boy sobbed uncontrollably. "It's okay, Nathan," he whispered. "I've got you. You're safe now." Immediately, Lucas called the authorities. Anita was arrested that evening, and Lucas provided a full statement about what he had witnessed. Nathan clung to his father, his small body trembling with relief and fear. For the first time, he felt truly safe. After Anita's arrest, Lucas focused all his energy on helping Nathan heal. He enrolled him in counseling sessions with a compassionate therapist who specialized in helping children recover from trauma. At first, Nathan was hesitant to open up, but over time, he began to trust his therapist and share his story. The healing process was slow, but progress came in small, meaningful steps. Nathan started smiling again, and his laughter slowly returned. Lucas made sure to spend as much time as possible with his son, rearranging his work schedule to be home in the afternoons. "I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening sooner," Lucas said one evening as he tucked Nathan into bed. "I promise I'll always listen to you from now on." Nathan nodded, his eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and lingering sadness. "Thanks, Dad," he whispered. Anita, meanwhile, was sentenced to life in prison. Her defense in court was weak. She claimed she had been lonely and stressed from her work, but the judge showed no leniency. Her actions had caused irreversible damage, and she would spend the rest of her life behind bars. Lucas worked tirelessly to rebuild his relationship with Nathan. He enrolled him in art classes, knowing how much his son loved to draw, and encouraged him to make new friends. Slowly but surely, Nathan began to thrive again. The experience taught Lucas a valuable lesson. No matter how busy life gets, nothing is more important than being present for your child. Children need love, attention, and protection, and as parents, it's our job to provide that. Moral of the story: always pay attention to your children's behavior and listen when they try to share their feelings. Ignoring their cries for help can lead to unimaginable pain. Be the parent who listens, loves, and protects.